This is Sasha. This is Sam. When they first met, it was just small talk about where to find the best coffee, the new high top she just bought, a book of poetry he found at a used bookstore, a new local band she discovered just last weekend, a zombie apocalypse movie he saw last night with some friends from his martial arts class, her homemade screen print t-shirt, and his favorite Chinese restaurant, which made them both hungry. So they got 2 orders of Mandarin chicken with brown rice, and then Sam opened his fortune cookie. Life's journey ends with a new beginning.
Whoa, that's deep. But in the real world, life's journey ends with an ending. When you die, you're done.
Well, yes, your body no longer works, but your soul continues to exist, don't you think?
Your soul? No, I don't believe in ghosts. We're physical creatures, material objects, just a collection of highly organized atoms. When your brain flatlines, that's it. Game over.
So you don't believe in life after death?
No. I mean, it's a comforting thought, but there's just no scientific evidence for it. I'd rather face the real world than believe in a fairy tale.
Yeah, I agree with you, Sam. It's best to face reality, but it may be that life after death is reality. I mean, think about it. If life just ends at death, then everything we do or say comes to nothing. What meaning or purpose can our lives possibly have?
Well, I guess my life has whatever meaning I choose to give it. I personally believe in truth, beauty, science, making the world a better place, saving the environment, freedom of speech, and, tolerance.
Yes, that's all well and good. But what does all that matter if it ends in nothingness? What are your thoughts about God?
Which God? There are millions of gods.
The God that's in the Bible.
It's been proven that the Bible is just a bunch of mythology written by ancient desert nomads. But if faith in God makes you feel good, I won't argue with that. But I personally prefer more of a rational, open-minded approach to life. Here's what I believe, Sasha. You shouldn't think anything is true unless it's been scientifically proven.
But has that belief itself been scientifically proven? Sam, you and I look at life very differently.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like we're from different worlds.
Not different worlds. Different worldviews. A worldview is the set of lenses through which you see the world around you. It's a web of habit-forming beliefs that helps you make sense of all your experiences. Through your worldview, you interpret life in a particular way. It affects how you think, how you feel, and how you live from day to day. To understand what your worldview is, think carefully about the big questions of life. Does God exist? How did everything begin? Who am I? Why am I here? Am I living a good life? What happens after I die? Cabbages and puppies don't think about this stuff, but people do. Reflecting on these questions is part of what makes us human. In fact, every one of us has a worldview. What's yours?
Most, if not all of us, have thought of life's big questions. Who am I? What am I supposed to do? What is the purpose of all of this? Does God exist? Is there truly a right from wrong? Do the decisions I make in this life have eternal significance? We all want to know the answers to questions like, what is love and is it real? Do I have any value? Do I have a purpose? Is there really only one way to God? No matter the era, no matter the culture, no matter the nation, no matter the religion, no matter the person, all people and groups attempt to answer these questions. Whether you believe in God, in an afterlife, or a real difference between right and wrong, our beliefs about ultimate reality shape the way we see the world and our place in it. These collections of beliefs we personally hold to is what is called our worldview. Imagine you walk into a store that looks like a sunglass hut. As you walk through, the items look like your typical everyday sunglasses. But to your surprise, every time you put on a new pair, the world looks completely different. Some of the glasses make your surroundings look brighter and more colorful, while others make your world look bleaker and less interesting. Some make everything look safer, while others make the world look more dangerous. Some make your vision more blurred, while others make your vision sharper. Every pair has something new and different to offer. Naturally, you would look for a pair that better enhances and improves the way you see the world around you. Now, having a particular worldview is a lot like this. It's like putting on a pair of lenses that causes you to look at the world around you in a specific way. With that worldview comes a set of beliefs about ultimate reality and your part in it. There's nothing really profound to the actual meaning of the word worldview. Your worldview is simply the way you look at the world, what you believe about the world, and what you think your place is in the world. There's nothing profound about a worldview because everyone has a worldview. Muslims have one, Buddhists have one, atheists have one, Hindus have one, Jews have one, even Christians have one. So the answer to the question, what is a worldview, is simple. It's an answer to the biggest questions we can ask about life. In our worldview is where we find our meaning, purpose, and value. A worldview answers who you are, your identity, what you do, your purpose, and where you are going, your destiny. So let's not stop at merely just asking what a worldview is. Instead, let's ask the second, more interesting question, which is, in light of my worldview, do my actions and beliefs reflect the worldview I say I have? So that's the big question we want to explore today. If you call yourself a Christian, then by definition, you should have a Christian worldview. If you do have a Christian worldview, then your actions should reflect this worldview. So let's imagine that you are at a sunglass hut and you walk up to the glasses that have a price tag on them that says Christian. Now, as a Christian, you placed your faith in Jesus and made him the Lord of your life. So you know that these are the glasses for you. So you put the glasses on and you see what the world looks like as a Christian. So the question is what do you see? Well, since Jesus is the one that Christianity stands or falls on, let's see what he has to say about it. See, in the scripture, there's a story in the Gospel of Luke. After Jesus had been crucified on the cross and placed in the grave, a few days later, a couple of the disciples were walking from Jerusalem to a town called Emmaus. Now, by using his divine power, he cloaked himself, and so they didn't know who he was, and Jesus walked up to them, and he started talking to them, and he asked them, he's like, what are you guys talking about? Now, just for a side note for some of you, because some of you might be wondering why Jesus hid his identity in the first place. We aren't genuinely sure, however, we do know a few things that can help make sense of this. What we do know for sure, and all of you are about to see this in a second, is that Jesus thought it was more important for the disciples to understand what he wanted to teach them about the scriptures than to just reveal his identity right away. Maybe they would be too distracted from the fact that, I don't know, he came back from the dead. I mean, that's not too hard to believe. I think if any of us would have been in that situation, we'd be pretty distracted if we had witnessed that. Another very likely reason is that Jesus' resurrection appearance only happened for 40 days until he then returned to heaven. And so in knowing that he wouldn't be there with them forever, he first wanted to give them the lasting power of the scriptures so that they could depend on it, live by it, and teach from it. Jesus would only be there for a little while, but the scriptures would be with the church forever. So anyways, when Jesus asked them what they were talking about, This surprised the disciples because virtually everyone from all over the surrounding area had heard about Jesus' crucifixion and death on the cross. Jesus acts like he doesn't know what they're talking about, so they'll explain to him what happened. They mention how sad they were that they were losing Jesus because they thought he was the Messiah. Now Jesus then turns around and shows them that they are wrong for being disappointed because the Messiah is supposed to die and then come back to life. Now this confused the disciples because everyone at that time was taught that the Messiah was supposed to be a warrior king, not a suffering servant. And they weren't wrong. The Messiah will one day return and establish his heavenly kingdom. However, they didn't look deep enough in the scriptures, because if they did, they would have seen that it did predict that the Messiah would be a suffering servant first. So Jesus sat them down and he taught them all about the Old Testament predictions about how he was supposed to die for everyone's sins and come back to life. He opened their eyes to what the scriptures truly taught about him, and because of that, their eyes were opened. They began to see things in a way that Jesus intended them to. You see, Jesus used the scriptures to change the way they saw the world. He used the scriptures to change their worldview. Now let's turn back to our sunglass analogy. You'll remember that each pair tried to offer something different about the world around us. Some better, some worse. Now imagine you walk through the store, you come across a pair that enhances the way your surroundings look in every single way. As a matter of fact, what you see through these lenses comes as a surprise to you. You see the world the way it was supposed to be. Everything about this pair of sunglasses shows you the world around you in its truest, most accurate form. Taking off this pair of glasses would be go back to seeing the world in a less accurate way. You can see things so clearly now that you can't help but want others to see what you see. This is exactly what it feels like to have a Christian worldview. The Christian worldview allows you to see the world in its truest and most accurate form, and you can't help but want others to see what you clearly see. So naturally, we should ask, what does a Christian worldview look like? The Christian worldview, just like all worldviews, will have an answer to three fundamental questions about identity, purpose, and destiny. In other words, what is my identity? Who am I? What am I supposed to do? Purpose. Where am I going? Destiny. So fortunately for us, the sunglass analogy isn't just make-believe. Jesus has given us real glasses that we can use to answer these questions. The glasses take the form of this. The Bible is the way that Christians gain their worldview. Now, unfortunately, it's not so easy to just putting on glasses and automatically having a new worldview. The Bible is the way you gain an understanding of what the Christian worldview is. The Bible simply is the worldview glasses. If you want to know what the world looks like in its truest form, then you must read the scriptures and apply it to your life. So what does the Bible say about these three questions? Identity, purpose, and destiny. As Christians, let me answer these personally from my perspective, and then you give it a try. First, who am I? I am fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of a loving, all-powerful creator of everything. Because of this, I have infinite value and worth. I am a saved, redeemed, adopted son who will share in the glory of my Creator for the rest of eternity. Second, what am I supposed to do? I am supposed to tell others about the good news that not only am I saved, redeemed, and adopted, but they can be as well. I've been created for a purpose, to love God and others with all of my heart, soul, and strength, and to use my spiritual gifts of teaching and preaching to help others. Third, where am I going? First, I am going towards the goal that God has laid before me. I am to live this life out by growing and persevering in my faith until the very end. Lastly, I am heading towards the true and final home in my new heaven and new earth, in the new Jerusalem, where I will spend eternity praising God and enjoying it with other Christians, brothers and sisters. So that is how the Christian worldview answers these questions, and that's how I answer them personally. Now, answering these questions is one thing, but more importantly, we should ask the more meaningful question that we asked earlier. If I call myself a Christian, Do my actions and beliefs match a Christian worldview? Am I wearing the glasses that Jesus wants me to wear so I can see the world the way He intended? Am I living in a way that shows I love God and I want to know Him more? Am I treating others the way Jesus would treat them? Am I sharing the good news about Jesus to those I know around me in ways that inspire and attract them? And most importantly, am I using this to develop my worldview? Am I using this to diagnose if my actions match up to what the Scriptures show a Christian life to look like? This isn't something that is instant. Your Christian worldview will become clearer as you grow in your faith and understanding. Once you truly start developing your Christian worldview, you will see you aren't called to just know about Christianity. You are also called to live it out every single day. So, you can't do this alone. You need Jesus' help. And just like Jesus opened the hearts and minds of the disciples that were headed to Emmaus, He can do the same for you. He used the Scriptures to help them, and He wants to do the exact same thing for you by using the Scriptures. And Jesus can do that for you if you let Him. So here's the bottom line. The question I asked you earlier is something I want you to think about this week. And that question is, do my actions and beliefs match the Christian worldview? And so this question is important because the answer you give will determine if you just call yourself a Christian but have a life utterly uninfluenced by it. Don't fool yourself like so many other people do. There are those that say they believe in Jesus, but an unchanged life is evidence of an unchanged heart. Far too many people call themselves Christians because they just go to church, are well-behaved, or do other churchy things. But Jesus doesn't care about any of that if you don't really love Him and want to be changed by Him from the inside out. If you really don't think you have a Christian worldview, then now is the perfect time to start. But here is your warning. Once you truly put on the glasses, your life will be forever changed. Perhaps C.S. Lewis best summed up the Christian worldview in his writing. The atheist turned Christian, C.S. Lewis, put it in perspective when he said this right here. He said, "I believe in Christianity as I believe that the sun has risen, not only because I see it, but because by it I see everything else." So in the spirit of exploring what a Christian worldview is, there are some ways that you can grow. Just like when your eyes need to adjust when you put on a new pair of prescription eyeglasses, it's going to take some time for you to develop into your Christian worldview. There are 3 things you need in order to help you with this growth. Those 3 things are church, prayer, and the Bible. Now, I know some of you are rolling your eyes. We aren't just telling you this because we're a church. You can attend any church that you would like. It's not the church that's important, but the group of believers you surround yourself by. There's not a faster way to learn and gain wisdom than by surrounding yourself with others and learning how God is working in their lives. The second is prayer, which is just simply talking to God and opening up to Him about your deep personal needs, fears, and desires. It's also the most effective way to gain spiritual eyes, which allow you to see how God works in the world around us. And lastly, you will surely grow in your Christian worldview if you read the Bible. There's no better way to gain an understanding of who God is and how you can know Him than by reading the Scriptures. So, to get you guys started, we will be having a video challenge for the rest of this month. This first week, we thought we would give you the book of Ephesians, which is one of the best books of the Bible that can help teach you about what the Christian worldview is and what it looks like. So your challenge this week is to watch the video on YouTube titled Read Scripture Ephesians, and we'll put the link in the post. But it's by the Bible Project, and so it seems pretty easy, but not so fast. We're going to be posting on our Kidsmen Facebook pages one question that can be answered only if you've watched the video. So that basically keeps any of you cheaters out of this. So our challenge is that you have to watch this with your parents and get them to help you find the answer. If you can give us the answer next Sunday, then we'll put your name in for the drawing to win a $100 gift card at the end of the month. If you do the challenge every week, then that means your name will be put in there 4 times. You're 4 times more likely to win it than anybody else. So get to watching and studying, and we'll see you guys next week.